Hi, guys. I am just getting set up. I'll tell you everything in just a moment. So, little behind, but we'll get there. Lost the tip to my glue, and thank you, Tiffany. So, got my husband hopefully settled. He was going to go have dinner with Sally because he's been stuck there because of the hurricane. Trying to get him another flight out to Maine has been just fun. Sorry about that's why I was late, but I'm here now, and he's never allowed to go anywhere without me again. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. First time I let him go by himself, but he's safe, and everybody else is safe. It's actually safe in an airplane, but that man's been in an airplane for 9 hours. 9 hours. So he's off the plane. He will be leaving again at 9 because the hurricane coming through all the way up to Maine, and then he'll be on his way to Maine, and we'll see if it goes. But we got it worked out. Good thing, you know, our spouses, we have to take care of them first, of course. And I'm glad that I'm here to do that. He's on his way to see his family. And I didn't have time to set up my camera. I'm so sorry. So I'm just doing that now, and we'll get started. I've already done all the matting, and I gave you guys, I gave in scrapbookers, and then on the beginning of this, a basic cutting guide. It was really hard for me to, you'll see, you know how we set up our pages to tell you if it's which flap. But we are, hi, Linda. Yeah, I have a husband I've been working on flights. Okay. One thing I could not remember, we didn't do this pocket together, did we? And I don't think I had it down. So we do need to make one of these pockets, but I did put it on the cutting guide because it's going to sit here. And I was hoping my photos were here from Prince Nickety, but they're not because they'll fit perfectly in here. My extra prints, till I'm ready to put them in my book. Like I said, I'll be taking everything off. It's just kind of preset with the temporary removable stuff. And so let's start before I start taking all this other off. And with the cutting guide that you can look at, you'll be able to know what piece goes where. And then the nothing's attached except for this back part. And this is going to be the belly band that we talked about. And I will create another one with you. So we're going to start with the pocket and the belly band, and then we'll go through and put our matting down. So for the pocket, you're going to start with a piece of cardstock. And since I have this one made, I'll just make another one. We need a piece of cardstock. And this I did put on that cutting guide for the matting. We need an 8x12 and a 5x5. So I need to cut an 8x12 and a 5x5. And then my 5x5 is just coming from a scrap that I have. And also, what's going to happen is this one, oh no, I ended up gluing this one down. That's right. I just didn't glue the matting. So 8x12 and then 5x5. And let's score. Got my phone closed just in case. There you go. I need to talk to him. Gosh, that storm is just ravaging through the East Coast, and I pray everybody is safe. 8 inches across the top of your scoreboard. We're going to score it 1/2, 1, and 1.5. Now I'm going to put the 12-inch across the top, and you'll see we just scored at 6, right in half. And again, we're going to score at the 8-inch across the top at 1/2, 1, and 1 1/2. Then the lid. This is 5 by 5, so it doesn't matter. Just your 5 is going to be across the top. And this does have that little 1/4 inch gusset, so it will fit over our gussets there. So we're going to score it 1/2. No, on this one, just a minute, I didn't write it down. I did. I scored it 3/4 and 1. I did write that down. 3/4 and 1 inch. And you know what? I like making these pockets for a lot of projects. I also like to make them just for cards. So you can make this a card. You put your card on the front and it opens. And then you've got a cute pocket here. So this is a really good design to use for a lot of different things. And we're going to burnish those score lines. I'm not going to trim these yet, these corners. I need to make sure it's going to be the right size to fit on our pocket. So I'm just going to fold this in half first. Making sure they're perfectly even. Then I'm going to cut on the inside of these 2 score lines. And it doesn't matter what side. They're identical. And we're going just to the score line. And then I like to just fold that up before I cut my angle. So I use the bottom of my pocket. That way I don't cut it, you know, too close and make a hole. Hi, RJ. So RJ, how is the weather up where you're at? Oh, I'm not on Facebook at all? Oh, no, I'm on Facebook. I am on Facebook because I'm watching myself on Facebook and I see the F's and you're on YouTube. So, oh, RJ, sometimes you have to refresh the Facebook screen now. It's really touchy. Okay, we're going to first fold that in. So I am on Facebook because I have my other screen open to Facebook. Angle those away from the top so that we can hide them under there a little bit nicer. Now I'm just going to fold that middle one back and then fold into, so away from myself. Over, we are getting ready. Okay, because they made him get on a, my husband's on his way there to New Hampshire, but he has to go through Maine, and they won't let him go tomorrow. So they stuck him on another plane tonight. It's been quite the adventure. And so I was just wondering what the weather was like. up your way. I'm hoping that he'll be able to get out tonight because I don't want him to stay at the airport. See, now when we fold that up, now what I like to do is just glue one side and then the other because I like it to be nice and even there. Like I said, I lost the tip. I was cleaning it, dropped it, and I can't find it. I'll find it later. There, so I can line up my edges better. Even though this is the back, I like them to be even. Okay, yeah, that's what they said. He was actually on a plane tomorrow morning, and he was going to spend the night at Sally's and visit with Sally and Jimmy because he's in New York. But they said, no, you got to get on this plane tonight. I'm like, oh, hi, Diane. How are you? So now I have to stay up all night and track his flight. That's all I can tell you. He's never going anywhere without me again. Ever, ever, ever. New York definitely is getting hit, Jan, because I was on the phone with Sally and I could hear the thunder. Oh, my Lordy. Elsa is mad. So let's just be thinking of everybody, that everybody is safe. So there is our cute little accordion pocket. And then we already did the closure, or the, and I lost it. How did I lose it, guys? Well, that's kind of ridiculous. Well, this one is not fully attached. So let me take it off. I don't know how I've already lost it. All right. So I did do the matting, which is 4 7/8. No, it's not. Sorry. Yeah, it is. It's 3 7/8 by 3 7/8, or 4 7/8. So 3 7/8 by 4 7/8. And the reason I didn't want to cut the other one yet, I like to make sure it's going to fit side to side. And it does. So then those are the two pieces that you'll need. You can go ahead and mat it now, but you don't have to. That just bugs me that I can't believe I can't find. I just scored it and put it down. Oh, well. So I'm going to take off the pieces and parts, and the matting sizes are already on that paper, or the cutting guide at the top of this video, and in scrapbookers. So what I did is I cut the full piece. This is how I like to cut my piecing, which is 5 3/4 by 4 7/8. And then I just cut, see, 1 1/8 off. And then you may have to trim this 1/8 of an inch. It is to the right when you move the pieces out. To the right. It'll show up. And then I cut 2 more pieces, again, that are 3 7/8 by 4 7/8. And the flowers are the back, or the front and then the back. Hi, Rhonda, how are you? So I'm going to go ahead then with the piece. Like I said, you'll cut it one length, the full length of 5 3/4, and then you'll just cut off the 1 1/8 strip. And then I trim this 1/8 of an inch. And I've already inked my edges. And you can use any of the cardstock you like, of course. And we're not going to put that down yet. We need a magnet. Oops. I need to get my brain in gear here. Because I do want to have a magnet closure. We need to attach this. You can see that temporary. And I'm just going to move it up to that very first score line. And then we'll glue it down. Gotta be careful. Don't want to get too much glue out. Oh, thank you, Mary, because you know how we always question ourselves. Okay, did I put the right patterns together? Did I make it? Does it make sense? And push that up. And we have the gusset. Now, magnet. And I'm going to use the large. Yeah, I did, and they put him on a different one, and so he's going to be at the airport for a little bit. And then they're going to get him out of there and get him to Maine. And he ain't going nowhere without me ever again. Now I can add some more art glitter glue since this is dry. Man, I was watching his airplane on the tracker the whole way from where they diverted him back to New York. I'm like, I ain't leaving this phone. But it's really safe in an airplane because they get up above the clouds. But they can't always get down. I know, he's been on, well, and like he said, there were some little kids on the plane, and they've been on that plane for 9 hours today because they've had to sit, they had to get fuel, they had to divert and turn around, and these poor little babies, he said, we're doing pretty good for what they're going through. So see, that'll go on the bottom. And they just happened to match up. So I was very happy. Hi, Chantel. Yeah, the StreamYard, you just have to give permission. Again, these are the pieces that are 3 7/8 by 4 7/8 for the inside, and I'll do the same for the outside. Around that magnet, and I'll just turn it over to put my second piece down. I really love this paper. I love that I can add so many different things to it or use it for, like we had a navy wedding, and so I was able to use some of these navy pieces for my neighbor. She needed them. I didn't make the out. She came over and got it to use it. as part of the decorations, and it looks really cool. So the pocket in the album, I've laid it so it goes this way. And I went ahead and used the gold. Here it is. And then I used this cut apart from the collection 3x4. And the gold is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. Hello, Terry. And I used the gold just to kind of make it pop. Thank you, Darlene. Oh, Darlene, I cannot wait for the new ones to come out. And I just put this down straight. We have so many in print. And as you saw, there were some sneak peeks. And I'm super excited for even the Christmas ones after. Oh, those we have just started working on. Now we're going to lay this down on the inside. And I don't think, no, I did not. See, all of these are not attached. So I'm going to take them off just with the temporary stuff. So I'm using the stars since I'm going to cover up most of it. And it is 7, it's not quite 7 7/8 by 5 5 7/8. So I took it up a little bit more, about a 1/16 of an inch. When I did the 5 3/4, it was just too wide. I mean, the 5 7/8, it was too wide, but 5 3/4 was too small. So cut it first, the 5 7/8 by 7 7/8, and put it down, and then see if you want to trim 1/8 of an inch from each edge. And that's what I did. Hi, Wendy. Oh, thank you. Hope you guys enjoyed the sneak peek. I cannot wait for the calendar. We'll have the first 6 months in the Craftology box, and I actually had some coasters made with it because I just love how the Remember the Time came out. So yeah, I had some coasters made, and I'll be doing more, and there'll be a giveaway, and I can't wait when I got to get them done though. They have to get finished being made, but so many fun things coming up that I hope you guys just love using the collections as much as we are making them. Okay, let's take our pocket, and then I just centered it, but I did bring it down. I mean, I centered it side to side. I brought it down just a hair from the bottom, so that's about a 1/2 inch. That way I've got plenty of room to open. Great place for those extra photos that you don't have put down yet. The gold cardstock is, I have two. There was one that went in the kit, and they were 8.5 by 11, so you would have gotten 4. But this one is the gold shimmer. It's extremely heavy, and it was more of a yellowish, but it's the Cardabella shimmer, and it is on the website. Let's get in there and really push that down. Okay, so we have our pocket down. I'll go back and do these, but right now I just want to do these 2 short flaps because we have a magnet, and I did not double mat the inside, you can. You probably won't have enough of the gold, but you might. Just depends on how you cut it, because we use it on the front and the back and the inside. And I did use one magnet here in the front and one here. So our basic grade magnets, as you know, you just peel off the back like I did for the pocket. You'll put it down and then just match it. There we go. Kind of sticking together there. So those aren't secure yet. They're wanting to stick. Each one of these for all your sides is 1 7/8 of an inch wide. Now for your short pieces, they are 5 7/8, and you're going to cut 4 of those. For the sides, they are 1 7/8, and they are 7 7/8. Again, that's on that cutting guide. You can print it out. And you're going to cut, so you need 2, 4, 6, 8 of those. And the outside of the back, when it comes up, are not double matted. I just did the outside where it shows the most. So now we're going to go ahead. I said that's catching because it's not glued down. We're just going to go ahead and glue these all down. So 1 7/8 by 7 7/8, 1 7/8 by 5 7/8, and then see if you need to trim the length is all. A little off, but we'll be okay. Oh, no, it's not. It's the navy blue. Sorry. That blue is kind of hard to see sometimes. No, this is my inside. We're good. You know how you're already organized, and then you had that wrench thrown in. Like my whole afternoon stopped to find out where he was, where his airplane was. I hadn't heard from him. He hadn't landed. He was diverted somewhere else. And all of a sudden I wasn't organized anymore. Have you ever done that? You're all ready to go, and then that wrench just throws things off for a few minutes. The new lines will come out. There will be some available for actual just purchase on August 11th, and a couple of them will be pre-orders, the fall lines. We can't print them fast enough. So you definitely want to pre-order the Halloween and fall, because I mean, I'll have them, but I won't. It's the way the printing goes. We'll do the pre-orders, and then we'll start printing more for in the store. But you'll be able to order August 11th, the calendar line, the majestic, the horse one. Now, if it happens that the printer is able to get all the new lines printed completely, well then, yeah, I won't put them as the pre-order. We'll just have them ready to go for you. Okay, I'm going to turn this over. So just flip your box over if you're at this point, so that we can just glue that right on top. especially around that magnet. There we go. All right, now we've got that secure. We have the side secure. So before we go on, let's do the belly band. So the belly band I've already created is 2 pieces that are 12 inches long. And these were already left over. They were 2 inches. They were already left over from cutting. So I left them that way. I just left them at 2 inches by 12. And you're going to want 2 of them. So I'm going to cut this one so I can make another one with you and show you how I made them. Hi, Pat. How are you? And I'll cut these the same. It'll be 2 inches. And then what I did is I just took, and we're going to put them together at about a 1/2 inch. We're going to cut these, so don't stress. So 1/2 inch overlap. And the reason I did not put the measurements for the cardstock or the pattern paper is yours is going to be a little bit different, you'll see, because we're going to just wrap it and mark it and then do the scoring. So yours could be a little different than mine, but the one thing that will be the same, if you kept yours at 2 inches, the matting's 1 7/8 wide. It will be just your lengths that'll be different. So let's make sure that's dry. Then that being the bottom, that's the bottom. I just laid the box here, and it'll all be, we'll bring it up in camera here in a second. So I just laid it on the box and did a fold, and then with your thumb or fingers just gently, you know, crease it. I'm going to score it there so it's a little more crisp. And then I did do this edge. That kind of gave me an idea of where to cut this off. Okay. Now we're going to do the same here. So I just wrapped it. And did a crease here. So I'm going to go about 2 inches from each one of those. So I do have some fold over there, which will give me some room if I need to adjust it. I'm just going to put this in the scoreboard. Well, let's go ahead and cut this first. Everybody's is going to be different here. So I just am going to put this in my scoreboard at 2.5, and we'll just cut that right off. Okay. And then we're going to do the same on this side at 2.5. Then we can lay this in the scoreboard, hopefully get in a groove here or pretty close. So mine, I can score at 4 1/8. Yours will be different, of course. Put that up a little bit. So it looks like, to move it, 6 1/4. Like I said, don't go by mine though. Yours is going to be different. Move it so I can score it at 4 and 6 1/8. Just gives you a visual that way. Do you know what? Yeah, people tell me my scoreboard's upside down and my cutter. But I think when you use it upside down, that's weird. I guess we're all different, huh? So we're going to burnish that score line that we have created. I know, and they tell me, you use your cutter so different. Do the same here. Jennifer on our design team, when I saw she uses it sideways, I'm like, I can't do that. Okay, so put this back on our box. And I never just go in and blindly score because it never fits if I do. Okay, oh, there we go. Nice fit. 2.5 was perfect. Then you don't have to worry about this being too tight, and it doesn't have to be loose because this isn't going to expand much, right? Now I'll just mark where I want to have my magnets. So basically, so that they would meet. It is, yeah, it definitely is personal preference. So that will be your belly band. Now all you'll need to do is go through and measure your sections. This really should be 1 7/8 because your box is 2 inches. So those are the only ones I'd say 1 7/8 by 1 7/8. But measure these 2 ends and the center. That is why I didn't give you guys the measurements for that. And then, like I said, I already did cut. This has been glued down. And I can glue these pieces on. So mine, see, it was 1 7/8 by 3 5/8. And this one was 5 7/8 for me. Now, I don't know. It depends on the time if I will get everything glued down, but everything is in here. So I can go over it with you so you can see how I laid it out. And because I don't really have to glue it down right now, because I did give you guys, I want to make sure you see the cutting guide that I made for you and how it makes sense. When we do each section of each page. I'm not sure, but I think Jennifer is left-handed, possibly, and that is why. And there we go. Need to pay attention to my directions. I think that's why she uses it that way, but I'm not 100% sure. But it seems like she's left-handed. Hi, Sheila. How are you? Oh, and you guys, everybody, just so you know, the puppies and the kitties and even the farm animals are just adorable that you are all posting for our contest. And we are seeing them. I have a team that's doing it, and they are making sure everything's getting put together, because you can still post the picture of your pets until the 10th, through the 10th. And then they're going to put together the graphic for voting. And one of our lucky little Country Craft Creations pets is going to be a brand new logo created with them in it, with Wilbur. I did ink all the edges. I did that off camera. I got it all ready so that it would go through quicker. But I want to let you guys know we are seeing your pets through our store page on Facebook and through Instagram. Um, so have no fear if you don't hear. We didn't realize so many pet lovers would want to have their logo with Wilbur, so it's kind of exciting. The voting will be through the 15th of July. Yeah, I believe through the 15th of July. And then we'll have the logo ready to debut on the 1st of August. But the one who, of course, is the lucky winner will know first. And it's really fun seeing everybody's pets. Okay, it goes this way. So now that's going to make a really nice closure. And I don't have it on there straight. That's okay, because I do have the cut apart that's 4x4 on a 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. No, this is a little bigger. 4 3/8. That's going to go right there with some other little decorations. Hi, Nicole. I hope you're dry and everything's okay. Okay, whoops. So let's start here. And let's start with our cute little triangles. These are the ones that I mentioned on the cutting guide that you want, I believe 4 or 5, because I have squares. I'll show you the squares right here. See, this is why this is page 1, but we've got flaps and I didn't know how to number the flaps. So I just gave you the measurements for the ivory paper and all of this stuff. And then I did put them on this page, but now I'll just put photos. And then we've just got the 2 solids on the inside. So this is where some triangles will go, and right here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut with you a piece of the cardstock, and you just want, I'm going to use a piece of graphic 45. My paper's over there. I am so unorganized with this. I'm actually making an album with this. So let's cut a 2x2. That will be one of our projects coming up soon. So I cut a 2x2. That's all you have to do. And then we're going to cut this from angle to angle, just like you would if you were doing, of course, with fabric. When I made the quilts, I folded, iron, fold, and iron. But here we just cut it in half for our triangles. And I did 4 and 4, so you need 4 or 5 because one always gets messed up, right? And then all I do is lay them down, which I'll show you here in a second, to however they look good when you look at them. So 2x2s cutting in half diagonally, and then we'll put them down. And they never go back the same. And the ivory cardstock, if you want to use the ivory, or you can just use a solid, on your cutting guide is 7 3/4 by 4. So the 7 3/4 by 4 inch one is the one that you want to have at the top. And I did not put the little triangles underneath it. I butted it up to the ivory cardstock. And then from a scrap, this is just a scrap, and I cut the angle there. So to get your angle on the pennant, you just cut up the center. I went up about 3/4 of an inch there. and corner to center and corner to center, or if you have a die or a punch, you can use that. I just cut them by hand. And then I want to be able to put a picture underneath. So I will only glue the top part. Make sure it didn't get glue there. Okay, let's just lay these out. And this is the part I always stress about, trying to get them back down the way I want them. Just match the corners. So now that you know how to do these, I won't glue the other ones down to save time, and we'll just move to the next side of the page. But I just did the same thing for the inside. Just Wilbur, get down from there. He smells a bag of granola. They are. See, I'm actually overlapping it about, oh, I'd say a good inch. Right now I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I get them laid out accordingly. I should have probably marked them. And this will be, whoops, my last one. So that didn't come out too bad. That's just a nice frame for the photo. Like I said, I was hoping my print snickety photos were back. They're the 4, I ordered them all in 4x4, and you just, from your phone, and I'm waiting for the code so that I can give it to you guys. Sometimes I don't want to print them from home, but I wanted to have the photos down, but it didn't work out. It's probably because of the holiday too. So that is what is right here. So I just won't glue those down. Same thing. Okay, let's move over to, now this is from the front, you know, with the truck, our front piece that has the truck on it. I'm gonna have to grab the paper, and this is just ivory, the ivory linen, and that is cut at the 7 3/4 or 7 7/8 by 3.5. And so I just cut the top of the cardstock that has the truck, because you have 3 sheets of this. It's called Print Snickety, Darlene, and it's you just do it on your phone, so it's an app, and then you can print off 30 photos each month. I thought it was a little expensive, to be honest with you, 1 3/4, but I think it's I don't want to tell you the price because I can't remember anything right now. 1 3/4 by 7 7/8. But the prints are super nice, and as soon as I get them, I can show them to you and also give you a code. So 3.5, and every month you can upload, I think, 30 photos, and you can even edit them, and then they will print them and send them to you, which is nice when you don't want to have to print. I mostly print mine off my little machines. And if it was any other day, I could tell you the name of those machines. The Sprocket, there we go. I have the Sprocket 4x6 and 2x3. telling you, my brain just got totally thrown off whack. And then I'm just leaving that 1/8 of an inch in between to make this look like a header to the photo. But if you download, there's an app for it, Print Snickety. And I'll email them tomorrow and also find out where that code is for us to use to try it. Okay, the 2 3-inch pieces, they're going to go right next to there. This big one. And they are your 3-inch pieces by 5 3/8. And I did 2 of them. So I'm going to leave this here for right now before we measure it because it's centered. Now you can put those down real quick and then I'll give you the size. Or you can put your 2, 3, these are, like I said, the 3-inch wide. And you can put them down, one on each side, and then measure the piece that's going to go into the center. The sprocket does get a little expensive too, but it's so convenient. I'll put the other one to the right. Now you can measure your space in between. I'll take that off and show it to you. Or you can go by the measurement I gave you. And you should be able to print that off too. So mine's 1 1/2 by 5 3/8. And right down in the center. And I took part of what was left from cutting this strip. This is the banner. So that's that front piece again with the truck. See this banner? And I used it after I cut off the strip. Then I cut these stars off to put here. And the ivory measurement. So that's why I put on each, like front of page 1, front of page 2, all your ivory piece sizes, and then you can just go through and lay them out as such. It's 5 1/2 by 5 3/8. And it just makes a really nice background for your pictures. And then you can either measure or go by the measurement if yours are turning out to be the same. This came out to be 2 inches by 5 3/8. See, that's part of this. Oops. Oh, the stars at the top. Okay, and then we have the cute little triangles. And then for the inside, which I won't take the time to glue down, they are just your 7 5/8 by 5 3/8, and I did 2 of those. So that's what I consider page 1, the front of page 1, and then we're going to go to the front of page 2. I mean the back of page 2 and the front, and I need to trim these anyway. Oh, well, I kind of killed that. Well, we'll make a new one. Again, these two will mirror each other. I need to cut those down. They'll mirror each other, and that's what I did put on the cutting guide. And the same with your little photo mat. So these are 1-inch strips. And as you can see, I need to cut mine. I didn't trim them before I put them on. And they need to be 7 7/8. So let me go ahead and trim these guys off. Like I said, they are 1-inch strips. So you're going to cut 10 of them. Then we're just going to lay them down, and I just mirrored the two. So I'll only glue down the one side. I'll come back to that. But this guy still seems long. It is. So I'm going to take him down to 7 3/4. So lay yours out first before you cut them off. Okay. And I did use black. Yes, Walgreens does, but you know what? It's never convenient when I want to print. I know. I should just not, I just shouldn't complain, right? Just get them printed and then not worry about it. But I think they'll mail to your house, won't they? Jan, Walgreens. So I kind of mirrored the two. They will mail? Okay. Yeah, that would, I probably should use them. It's easy because I have these guys to look at. And so when you're first putting them down, I would lay those out so you can kind of line them up, or just glue one side and then you can line up the other side. My problem was I couldn't decide which paper to use. So I thought I'll just use them all. And this does have a direction to it. You'll notice with the stars and then the postage stamp there. Get that temporary adhesive off. And then just repeat. Okay, I did double mat. So the stars come out to be 5 5/8 by 4 1/8, or 4 1/4. So 5 5/8 by 4 1/4. And my mat for the photo is 5 3/8 by 4. So 5 3/8 by 4. And then I put one this way. And just after I glued that down, and then I glued this one down so that they mirrored each other. So those I'll set aside and do later so that we can do these inside pieces, which I'm going to grab the paper so I can show you how I cut each one the same. Basically. And I did use that combination of the 8 by 8 and then very little, but I used some of the 12 by 12s, and which was in the kit. And I did a lot of paper. Computer doesn't like that one, so let's move it to a different one. It doesn't like this one either. Goodness, let me put my hand there. So I just trimmed this down to 7 3/4 for the flaps, because remember those were a little bit smaller. And what I did is I cut the banner pieces, and then I cut a 1-inch strip off, same here, and then I just kind of every other one. That makes sense? So the back I put there. And this came from the back of here, which is actually the front. And then I did the same here, just to kind of every other one. So you're going to want 4 pieces. And when you start with them, they're going to be 5 3/8. Every one of them will be 5 3/8, and you're going to cut that inch off. So 5 3/8, then I cut an inch off of this piece, and I'll show you in a minute. And then I just went every other one. So let's cut 5 3/8. That's the width of the page. Then I would cut an inch off for my strip. And then I took 1/8 of an inch off so that I had that space. Super, super simple. That would go there. And now my 1 inch will fit down here and give you a nice space. Then you just kind of alternate back and forth. You only need 4 of them. So I did 2 of the blue with the July 4th and 2 of the banner pieces. And that's how I created those. Now, because I won't create them for all 4, let me show you how I created these pieces, because this was fun. So we're going to start just with one piece of the ivory cardstock. And you want to cut it the 7 3/4 by 5 3/8. And I need to grab one. Okay, so 5 3/8 by 7 3/4. Then each one of these corners is the same. We have 4 of them. So I did the same thing with one of the pattern papers. And I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to cut it 5 3/8 wide. And it doesn't have to be the same length. And then all I did, didn't even measure. That's the pearl. It's so pretty. Didn't even measure. But I just put my paper in the scoreboard, or not the scoreboard. And I cut off a corner. Then you can use it for a pattern if you want, or you don't have to. And then what I did is I took this and did use it for a pattern. Otherwise, it really would have been too wonky. So when I put it down on the page, there we go. Nope, it goes this way. And I did that on every other one of the flaps. And it really didn't take any more time. It wasn't super time consuming. Then I just placed, this is going to be a little bit long, but that's okay. And then this piece. And if the reason this is too big, I didn't cut this 7 3/4, just so you know. So it is a little bit longer. So do cut it the same length. Otherwise, it'll be too long. This wouldn't have been too long had I cut it the same length. I left it the full 8, and that's why we're a little bit long here. Otherwise, it won't be too long. And then you're just going to do that to every single corner. So you just take your next one. When you cut it, it's going to be a little bit different. None of mine are the same, and you can see that. Let me show you. They're not identical. They don't all look the same. So I call this my hillbilly 4th of July, right? They're not identical unless you want to go through and measure them all, and I didn't. So I just cut each ivory piece. See, this one you can tell is a little bit bigger than this one. But that's okay. It looks great. So you just take your next piece. You put that one down, put your little piece there, and cut your second one. You'll need 4 of these. But on your one pattern, you'll be able to just cut your 4 corners. So I hope that makes sense. Super easy. Gives you a different look. Then you can just place your photo there, or if you have a printout or journaling that you want to add in. And then my solid pieces are just your 5 3/8 by 7 3/4. The center is going to be 7 7/8. Remember, we made the flaps, these flaps just a hair short so that they would fit nicely as they fold over. And then each side just mirrors the other side. See, and once again, they're not identical. And I did use this sheet for all 4 corners. So I cut here, cut here, cut here, and cut here. Okay, let's do the back of page 2. Again, that's where I couldn't get you guys the complete, I mean, I did all your ivory. I don't tell you exactly where they go. So we've got the centerpiece, and then I did the 2 1-inch pieces on the sides. And they're 5 3/8. This one's just a little bit long for some reason. Oh, no, it's not. Let me cut that down. Is anybody to the decorating page? Decorating stage. There we go. That's a better fit. Then I just put them to the outside edge here. Let's see if I need to trim this one. Yes, I do. I didn't ink this one. And then I put them to the outside, and we'll put the ivory on the inside. I have a funny feeling from what I can hear, Wilbur better not be on the counter. Hi, Tricia. How are you doing? Okay. Now, do measure your width. I know the height's going to be 5 3/8, but you'll want to measure. Mine came out to be 5 5/8, so I believe I did cut mine at 5 1/2. I did 5 1/2 by 5 3/8. Oh, you can't sit down long enough? You know what? I've been that way, though. I'm so glad I did get this done. And I've been working on the Graphic 45's album with, what is it called? Best in Show. But I'm the same way. If I could just sit down long enough to get her finished. Whoa, wait a minute. How come this is too wide? It wasn't too wide. Because it was sitting here. I'm going to cut a new piece. Looks like I need to cut it more at 5 1/4 by 5 3/8. So measure. Okay, that's much better. Oh, what's giving you fits, Tricia? This project? Oh, your e-reader. Okay, so that part's now glued down. Inside, I won't re-glue that. I haven't glued it, but again, this is going to be your 5 3/4. No, 7 3/4 by 5 3/8. But measure. And this is my third piece. So I did end up using all of this piece. And just measure your flat, but it should be 7 3/4 by 5 3/8. And then I'll just temporarily stick that down, but you'll go back and glue that. So I thought that's a great journaling spot, or again, to print something out, and then photos. And then when our flap comes down, again, I did the same thing here. I did use my star punch, and I punched out just with my whiskers, and I punched out some stars. And here, though, is a little different. So my stripe across the top is almost 1 1/4. Actually, it was just one left over. So I thought, hey, that's perfect. And then the bigger piece is 4 inches. So this is 4 inches by 7, about 7 3/4. Again, measure your flap. Remember, I cut most of the flaps at the 7 7/8 because I don't like them to hit each other and bend. So I just cut them a little bit short. So I'm going to glue the stripe down. I got to get the glue off my fingers, or it'll get all over that ivory paper. Oh, so I got hand sanitizer on there instead. That's okay. We'll cut a new one. I won't glue it down. Again, I just used the 1 inch strips by 7 3/4. So measure your center. I don't want to glue it down now because since oh, well, isn't that artisan cardstock fabulous? Because you know what? You can't even see it. Where I just dropped that glob of hand sanitizer. Cool. Well, it ended up being a 3 1/4 by 7 3/4. Then you'll just glue that down in the center. Again, great place to frame a photo. Now we're going to do the inside here. This one is a little bit smaller, and it was left over from my flag that I created. And this is only 3/4 of an inch. You can go bigger if you want. I wanted to go smaller so that I had a bigger area for a photo. And this is the one that's 4 7/8 by 7 3/4. They're howling at something for the ivory. But let's move on to our flag. And there goes Wilbur. So I chose, and you can choose any one. You may even want to go with the gold stars, which I almost did. If you want to do that for your flags, I am going to just take glossy accents here in a minute, and I'm going to glossy accent those. So I'm not going to actually put this in the book. Oh, I love that stinker too, but he's a stinker. So 3 5/8 by 3 1/4. So what you'll want to do is do this piece last after you measure. Lay down your stripes. Don't glue them down, and then you'll be able to measure this area that your representation of where the stars go. And it said stars and stripes, so I thought, how perfect is that? But these are 1 inch strips, and I cut 4 of them. Well, there's 4 different. So 3 of those and 5 of those. There's not 4, I can't count. And then I ended up alternating. That's why this piece is here. But they're 1 inches by the 7 7/8, and then you're just going to measure. So you want to measure from the size. This is 3 5/8 is the widest. Then just measure. I'm only going to take one at a time up so I can get them down in the right place. Just some more inking there. And when I cut mine, they ended up being about a little over 4 inches by 1 inch on the first one. So these first 3 on mine are 4 by 1, and then I did make sure I kept it level meeting right there. So it kept a straight line. I don't think I will put a photo on here because I just really love it. I just really love how it turned out. Photo here, photo there, and then this will just be to look at the paper. Again, 4" by 1. And you can definitely change the sizes. And I always do the glossy accents at the end so it can dry overnight. And I don't want to do it while it's in the book in case that gets flipped over onto the glossy accents. It'll be an absolute mess. Okay, and this is last two, and they're the full length of 7 7/8. So this is, I think, a really fun album that you can create, especially if you're going to a crop or you need a quick one, something maybe fun for a birthday or a baby shower to go along with the gift, or just because, or of course with Stars and Stripes. Okay, so I've got everything pretty well even and level. I don't have that down yet. Like I said, because I am going to take my glossy accents, so I'll do a couple. If you haven't used glossy accents before, don't be afraid to use it. It'll dry wonderful. In fact, I'm using it in the other album. I took it and put it on some of those postage stamps with Graphic 45 because it dries, there we go, kind of glass-like. You really won't be able to see it right now. I'm just going to go over the stars. But when it dries, you'll be able to see it better. And that's all you do with glossy accents. Squeeze it on, and I like to let it dry overnight. And then I'll put this back down into my book. Like I said, it's not a lot that you can see right now. I know, aren't retreats the best? Because you go and you know you've got something to do. If I go to a crop, I'm going to do nothing but sit there and talk. Like I said, there you go. You can kind of see them. And then they'll sort of pop. And you can also sprinkle some glitter on there if you want. So I'm going to put that up on my ledge to dry. Yeah, you take me to a crop and I'm just going to sit there and talk. And then I won't even get what I took with me done. And I've been at some crops. There's some hardcore crafters that do really get their work done. I was like that at school too, though. So the star, I'm just going to accent for down here. Oh, I didn't glue this down, so let's free and glue this down. Okay, there goes Wilbur. And now my star can go there. Have a wonderful dinner, Diane. And then don't forget, you do have the tags. You can cut out all the tags from the collection. and use them to really go through and decorate. I didn't, because I didn't get that far. And then with what happened today, trying to find where my husband was and the hurricane, and I didn't quite get that part, but I know I'll go back and put some of the cut aparts, or those, the tags that I do with each collection. I will cut them out and put them in places to decorate with. And I'm going to stick this inside there because I've already lost the other one. It'll show up. So that is just the inside decorating of our album. We need to do the outside, and we already did this last week. And we do need, did I already put these down? No, I need to put our 1 7/8 by 7 7/8 and 5 7/8 of an inch pieces down on the inside. I did do the other side. Again, I think these make a really nice gift. The albums in a box. We must have a lot of walking neighbors this evening. Of course, I don't know why it's so hot. They're just having fits. Okay, my end piece. Yes, Rick's okay. He is waiting for a, oh, he might, you know what, I need to check. He might already be on an airplane again, heading out. And I'm really hoping, because it's what, 9 something there. He is okay. He was on an airplane for 9 hours today, Tricia. They kept going around and around when they finally decided to take him to Connecticut instead of New York. Then they realized they needed fuel. But, you know, him being an aircraft guy. Same thing out here. These aren't glued down. I'll come back and glue them because already I know late around. And he was going to go spend time with Sally and Jimmy, but they told him, nope, he's got to get on the next airplane, because if he didn't, he won't get past the hurricane. Okay, let me take these off. I did the double matting. Did I glue that down? Oh, I did. I didn't realize I did. Or no, we didn't. I did the double matting just like we did for the cover. So it matched. 1 7/8 by 5 7/8, but the inside is 1. I went 1 5/8. No, but I didn't. But I went 1 1/2. Nope, I went 1 5/8 by 5 5/8. So, yeah. Oh, Jennifer, we should. And then that way the gold shows. Yes, between all the girls sleeping over, and now I'm just going to glue this down. I don't think these are glued down. No, it's not, but that temporary sure is sticking. Oh, hey, let me tell you. No, Wilbur won't take his spot. Wilbur's in our bed every night, RJ, and he sleeps cuddled up right next to me, and he doesn't move. So Wilbur he doesn't spread out at all. Wilbur is a stick close cuddle dog. Oh, thank you, Sheila. So this is now all put together. Oh, he just says still haven't bordered yet. Okay, we'll find out why. But we want to go ahead now with the band that you created. I usually put a magnet on all sides, but I thought the belly band would be really fun this time. I have this funny feeling with him texting me, he may not be getting out of there. There we go. Poor man's had a long day. 4x4 is the cut apart. So measure, I think it's 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. And you can even pop that up, but I'm just going to go ahead and add my adhesive. No, it's not. In fact, Trisha, he said, I told you I should have drove. I says, you're not driving to New Hampshire without me. And I used my Fisker's punch, and I've made these flowers online with you guys many a times. And I did a bunch of stars. And what I did is, this is from the 8x8 paper. You'll have a cut apart with an Uncle Sam. And then these are just some more stars using your punches. He is one of your cut aparts. So we're going to kind of create an embellishment here. Put that one on. And I'm just going to overlap some stars. No, and I couldn't go with him this time. I'm kind of glad, but now I'm not glad because I don't like him going through this by himself. But he says just now that New York is a zoo, and I'm like, well, what's new? Everybody's stuck there. And I guess had we been smart and checked, I don't know. Let's put this one behind. And put that one behind. Then I'm going to put another one up here on top. Hi, Patty. So, Patty, how's the weather? That's just kind of going to sneak underneath there to give it some color. Hi, Fauna. Flowers with your punches. And Bonnie also has just shown how to make some of those. And if you need, I can go ahead and grab my punches and show you if you want. But like I said, I know it's getting kind of late. Again, that is just from punching out with my Fisker's punch. And I do have a bow. So with the seam binding is really fun. Oh, and I did put the cut aparts. Here we go. There's all the cut aparts. So what I did is I just went through and cut apart from the 8x8 and the 12x12. There's the big Uncle Sam. And then just take your seam binding, and you don't even have to use water to make it all crinkly. This one I did use water. And you can just roll it in your hands. Well, Patty, he just left Connecticut from New York and back to New York because of it starting. But I do keep a bottle downstairs. Just barely dampen it. I mean, it's barely damp, just enough to really. If you want that crinkle look. And this is the seam binding that had came in the kit. So I'll need my hot glue gun for that. Or we can have them go up to the top so that it doesn't cover America the Beautiful. Or you can place it anywhere that you want with your flowers. Your star down. Needs to go there just to bring up that space. Either hot glue. This will work too, art glitter glue. He was at, what was that airport called? He was at the airport, main airport. They sat there for about 45 minutes. Getting gas. Starts with a B. I think. There, because we don't want to cover our words. Hot glue gun for this, I'll put that at the top. Bradley, that's it. It was Bradley. Yes, he was there at Bradley. Oh, well, he almost came and slept at your house. No, but he got back to New York. I should have cut that first. And now he's still in New York. So I'm going to round these corners. Give it some more ink. So see, that'll go underneath that band. Well, he might be sleeping at the airport. This one I need to do hot glue. I know, but I didn't go and I couldn't go, but that's okay. I mean, I feel bad that he's going through this. So I'm going to just open this for a minute. Is the back pocket. That's where I wanted to place some of these cut aparts so I can add photos to the back of them. Let's see here. Definitely our cute lab. There we go. He's pretty cute. So I'm going to add him there. Actually, that's one reason I did. Of course, I just used it. You know, where the Uncle Sam is showing, so that you could use that, or even this one, so you can layer these and kind of create your own, or you can add those together. I'll probably put something else on here too. I go back through. You know how you go back through your books and stuff 4 or 5 times to see what else you want to do, what else you put there. And then also you have this opening, which I was going to have all the graphic 45 tags out, ready to do that with. It didn't happen, but it'll fit great inside of there. And then you can tie that ribbon. The only reason, I mean, it fits perfect because, well, the grommet I use it as a stopper. The page, you've got 2 of them, remember, that are open. I was going to get my tags all made and be so proud of me, and I did not get them made. Okay, because they do have to sit. I want to show you. So I want to use the longer tags, or you can make them, because these aren't long enough. These are the little short chunky ones. So if you use the long ones, you can cut them to fit, and then I will put them inside there. But you got to remember, you've got to make room there, but it will push it in far enough. So I would put 2 in each, or you can just make 1 long tag. Like I said, just remember you need room for that to fit there. And we are, except for I gotta go back and do some gluing. Got our belly band done. You've got your cutting guide. So now you guys can go ahead and finish your albums in a box. And I just saw a message, so I want to answer it here. If you want to post any photos, hi Maria, how are you? I saw that you signed up, and I was so excited when I saw your name. I can't wait to see you in person. When you create your projects using the design teams or mine, or you've used the paper, you can share it on Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations. But I also have a sister group called the Country Craft Creation Social. So it's more for sharing other things you make, but you can't share any links. You can't share the links or purchasing, of course, because it's still associated with my store. But we love to see other things you make too, so it's not quite as limited. I do that so Scrapbookers, you can find the design team projects or my projects or the tutorials. But we want to see what you make, so be sure and post and show us. And tomorrow, Bonnie, I believe, yeah, Bonnie's live tomorrow with her project that she's going to start, that she showed you guys with the Prima. It's such a pretty album. And then I will, I can't remember the schedule. I might be live next week, I believe. So I'll get my little flower put on there. And I hope you guys enjoyed creating the album in a box. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye. Oh, and if you are in the storm, hurricane's way, please stay safe. Batten down the hatches, right? Good night, everybody.